look like. So it's really exciting. So we're live now. Hi, everybody. I'm Niecy Walker. I am a buyer's agent with Homie, and I am really excited to have this discussion today around home ownership and us women veterans coming together to just talk home ownership. And before we get into that really exciting conversation, I have my wonderful friend Nia here that's going to talk to us about a few things in the home is possible process and kind of what that looks like. How are you, Nia?
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me today, Niecy. And I'm going to say this over and over again to you and to everyone else, but thank you for your service. Thank you for your service to our country, and thank you also for your service to our Nevada constituents, veterans, and civilians, and helping us, get a little bit closer to home ownership. I am from the housing division. I am the new affordable housing advocate for formerly homebuyer program specialist. So though I'm wearing many hats with the housing division right now, the down payment assistance and home buyer, helping home buyers and home hopefuls get closer to achieving the dream of home ownership is one that's very near and dear to my heart. One of the things about our program is that in the inception of our program, our former governor Brian Sandoval had a mission to make Nevada one of the most veteran and military family friendly states in the nation. This program was a big cornerstone of that, and while that governor was in office, he was able to hand the keys to the 1,000th veteran to use our program. And right now we are very close to 2,000 veterans who have been able to take advantage of VA benefits and our down payment assistance, and be able to achieve that dream of home ownership. So I am very, very happy to be here and to be part of this discussion. So thank you.
I am too. I am too, Gina, and or Nia is what we call you. And I'm really excited to talk about this and for our veterans and what does it look like. So can you kind of talk about the down payment assistance that's available for our veterans?
Absolutely. So through the Nevada Housing Division, we have lots of options for our veterans, for military families and veterans. We have our down payment assistance through Home is Possible, and then we have our Home is Possible program for heroes, which is a separate program, which is a VA loan, which is usually the best VA rate in the city. That they are able to take advantage of that to be able to cover, to be able to use their VA financing to purchase a home. And then for veterans or military families who are eligible for VA financing, we have our standard Home is Possible program, both in the first time homebuyer form and in the standard form, where they are able to receive up to 4% of their total loan amount towards down payment and closing cost assistance. So covering that funding fee, covering those closing costs, which are extremely important. And there's not too much in addition to being eligible for VA financing that we require. We require that the home buyer has an income of less than $105,000 annually. We require that the home that you're purchasing is less than $548,000. We require a 640 credit score, and you have to live in the home as your primary residence. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer. We're very cautious and understanding the life of a military family and traveling and deployments and being relocated to different cities. So it's okay if you owned a home before, you can still take advantage of the down payment assistance program with Home is Possible and be able to use our down payment assistance to purchase a home here in Nevada and put down roots. So that's one of the biggest things. And then it is also available statewide. There's no geographical restrictions anywhere in the state. Anyone can use them. And then I'm going to try to cut this as low as I can, because I'm very passionate about it, and I can talk about what we do for our veterans and what more we need to do for our veterans. But one thing I'd like to always point out is that anyone who qualifies for VA financing can qualify for our program. So that means whether you are currently serving in the military, if you are a veteran, if you are the spouse of a veteran, if you were in the reserves. I've heard a lot of people and sort of going around the city saying, thinking that because they were in the reserves and not necessarily serving in a branch of military. But as long as you were in the reserves for at least 90 days during a time of conflict, of U.S. conflict, then you would be eligible for that VA financing. And there's a fun fact about our country is that in the past 30 years, we have always been in military conflict. So as long as that you have served 90 days in the reserves, you are also eligible for that VA financing. So it's a very robust program. There's lots of opportunities. And one thing I always recommend is that you just get a relationship with a lender who's familiar with VA financing and a realtor partner that's familiar with VA financing. Don't believe the myths and the sort of the hype of it's difficult to use your VA loans and they try to make it hard for you. That's not true. And we go above and beyond to make sure that you can take advantage of all the benefits that you earned. We do have a couple of testimonials just for people who have used the program before. We have, as I mentioned, we have over 1,000 veterans who have been able to take advantage of our program, past 1,000, closer to 2,000. And once you are able to get a strong mortgage lender or a lender partner who understands the VA financing and being able to let you know what you can qualify for, they really do a lot of the work for you. So be sure to ask questions of myself or anyone that you're working with in that VA financing, and we would be able to help get you on the right path.
I'm totally muted. I was so excited. I'm like, okay, don't talk whenever it's not your turn. When you talked about just kind of not listening to the myths and, pushing past some of those things that people kind of allow themselves to believe instead of going forward with the process. So what is one thing that a veteran can do that's interested in learning more about this process? What is one thing that you'd have them do?
Absolutely. So the first thing, one of the requirements for our programs, not only for our veteran programs, but for all of our down payment assistance, is it requires homebuyer education. So on our website, which is hipnv.org, we have a link to our online homebuyer education course that's offered free of charge. And then also we have a link to all of the HUD approved counseling agencies that are available within the city, because some people are able to, take a quick online course and get a grasp on things. And then some people need a little bit more hand holding and a little bit more of a, walking through the process together. Either one is okay. I always tell people that purchasing a home is one of the biggest transactions you will ever make in your life. It is okay to ask as many want and make sure that the person that's working with you is willing to take that extra time. So on our website, we have a link to all of the lenders that are available that are participate in our program. Usually a good lender will give you an apple to apple comparison of what it looks like to use our Home is Possible program compared to using other programs or not using a program, how much you would have to bring in. So what you want to do is contact a trusted lender partner, let them know you're interested in using the Home is Possible and that you could qualify and that you possibly qualify for VA benefits. Or if you qualify, let them know, and then a good lender will do the rest for you.
Yay. And then that makes the process so much smoother. You know what you need when you're coming into it. It makes it just kind of go a lot easier. So can you give that link one more time so our folks that are interested can kind of go in and check it out?
Absolutely. So it's hipnv.org. So that's hipnv.org. Under that home buyers tab, we have a wealth of resources, but we have a link to find a HIP lender. We have a link to our buyers education, and you can take that online course free of charge.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Well, Nia, I am so excited for this. I'm so thankful for you taking some time to really go over this program. It's important for our veterans. A lot of us don't know sometimes what's out there and what is available for us to take advantage of. So I'm really excited for this. I'm thankful. And I look forward to talking with you again.
Absolutely. Thank you again for your service, and thank you for all the work you do in our community.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So we're going to get started now on our panel discussion. I'm really excited about it. I want to just share with you right now, we're going to do this Women's Veterans Talk Home Ownership panel. And what this will consist of is some amazing female veterans, some women veterans that are out here that are working every day just like you, but they also own homes. And what I would like for it to be is that they just come on and they talk about what did that look like for them? What did they do? What did they stop doing in order to be able to buy a home and to stay in a home? So it's more than just getting on and, purchasing a home, but it's once you're in your home, how do you maintain? What are the things you need to be thinking about so that way you're ready for your next home purchase? So let me pull in everyone from the panel. I'm really excited to talk to them all and to kind of get their faces. So give me just a second and we're going to get them on right now. Hi, how are you? Hello, how are you doing? Hi, Caitlin. Welcome, 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 Courteneè. Welcome, Senator Spearman. Oh my goodness. We do have a couple more that are coming on as well, but I'm really excited to talk to you ladies and to really open up the discussion around what this home ownership panel looks like. So before we get started, I have Senator Pat Spearman on. She's an Army veteran, Nevada State Senator. Very excited for that. We have Courteneè Riley. She's an Air Force veteran and a best-selling author. So really excited to have her on. We also have Caitlin Turkovich. So Caitlin is an Army veteran. She works in the mortgage lending facility and is a VA mortgage lender. So she definitely knows a lot about what we're going to talk about. We have Jessica Vargas that just joined us. She is a Marine Corps veteran and also the engagement director for Concerned Veterans of America. So how are you, Jess? I think she's fine. I don't know. Can she hear me? Can everyone hear me? Are we all on? Are you okay?
Yes, I hear this fine.
Yes. Okay. Oh, Senator. Hi, Senator. You went away. All right, we're just waiting on Donna. I know she said that she was going to be joining. So we're going to get her going on here in just a second. So I'm really excited to have you ladies here. And this is going to be a conversation where we just have an open discussion around home ownership and what does that look like as, those that are watching this, not only veterans, but their families, and then those outside of veterans are looking to purchase a home. So I want to have this discussion. I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited to have you here. And we just get started in these questions. So the first one, and this is for all of you that you can answer. When you decided to buy a home, what is one thing you stopped and then one thing that you began to do?
So I'll go ahead and answer that first. One thing that I stopped doing was spending money because I know I needed the money to save up for any unexpected costs or anything that comes with buying a home. I started paying off any little debt that I had left over. Can you hear me? Okay, so I paid off any little debt that I had left over. So I knew that once I went through the finance process that I would be good to go. I also started looking for a home, and what else did I do? Just trying to figure out what I could afford, especially when it came to furnishing the home. I just wanted to make sure that if I was going to buy a home, I would be able to furnish it and everything like that. So.
Absolutely. Thank you, Courteneè. I appreciate you. What about you, Senator Spearman? What did you stop doing and start doing when you knew you wanted to buy a home?
Stop spending.
For real, right?
Yeah, stop spending. And I went back. I bought my first home. Actually, my father and I bought a home together when I was in college. It was, in his words, he was going to teach me how to be a homeowner and do that when I was young enough to teach. First home that I bought on my own was in Killeen, Texas, though, when I was stationed at Fort Hood. I stopped spending. I looked at my savings and made sure that I had a healthy number in my savings. Wanted to make sure that if there was anything that the financer needed to know about the way I spent money, that it all looked good. The other thing that I did was I made sure that I looked around and checked out who I might be able to get the mortgage lending from,
Okay.
and who was going to give me the best deal, really. And I checked with friends who had purchased homes, and I checked with some folks at church who had purchased homes. So really wanted to see who had the best experience. So I stopped spending, made sure that my bank account looked great. And the other thing that I did was I got a monthly credit report,
Okay.
so that I would know if anything changed on my credit that would make me ineligible to purchase a home. And I don't know about the rest of the panelists, but I am allergic to renting.
I feel you. I totally understand, but you're not allergic to, having some renters come in, right? But
Right.
absolutely, you being the renter is not it. I feel you so much on that. Thank you for sharing that. What about you, Caitlin?
I think the biggest thing that I like to think about is same. I'm allergic to renting. So I bought my first house when I was 22 and
Nice.
still active duty. And I think that the biggest benefit that I had was I didn't go for my dream home. You know what I mean? I wasn't trying to buy above my means. I wasn't trying to do anything crazy like that. The research that I did ahead of time, I wanted to make sure that I could turn around and rent it out and have passive income from it. So especially if you're active duty, I was stationed at Fort Drum for 3 years, bought a house there, rented it, was stationed at Fort Bragg for 3 years, bought a house there, turned around and rented it. So I currently own 4 homes because every time I went somewhere, I purchased a home and then turned around and rented it. But I always did my research ahead of time to make sure, what is the rental market in this area? Even though I was buying it to live in it for a few years, the research I did ahead of time has definitely benefited me now, 15 years later.
Oh, yeah, for sure, right? Because at the time, you're only buying it to say, I want to just not rent. But when you hold it, yes, it definitely grows in appreciation. So I really appreciate that. And that's very smart to talk about way at 22, like anyone that's watching this is for you too. Like you can do this now. Yes, you'll have to change some things and not do certain other things, but you can definitely do it. Jess, I don't know if you heard the question or not, but it's when you decided to buy a home, what is one thing you stopped and one thing you began to do?
Thank you, Niecy. Yes. So when I first bought a home, I had just gotten out of the Marine Corps and moved back to Las Vegas. The recession 2008 started. And at first I didn't think that I actually would qualify, that I could buy a home. And I was encouraged by a friend that was in the industry to just give it a shot. So something I stopped doing was renting. I moved in with my older brother and I started saving money, paying off all our credit cards, and we went through the process. And although at the time we just gathered all our paperwork, it took a faith and it paid off because we were lucky enough not only to rent when the market was at its lowest, but we were also able to gather the $8,000 that they were giving away at that time to purchase a home. So that helped us pay our credit card.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a blessing. And after that, I'm with the young lady that was 22 years old. That was in my 20s as well. And it was what started giving me allergies to renting. And I've never rented ever since.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love that this, of ownership came on to you while very young in your careers, or either young in your thought process of what does it look like to own a home. And now you're still owning those homes and you're seeing what the impact has been for you since owning a home. So I think that that's very important. And it really does help to tie in why you're here and talking about how important it is. Let me go into the second question. So just a ballpark figure, someone's looking to actually do this, move forward. How much did you have saved when you moved into your home? Senator Spearman.
Well, when I moved into my first home, I probably had about maybe $3,000 saved, but that was probably the equivalent of about $5,000 now. But the other good thing about being a veteran is that you have access to the VA loan. So I knew whatever I needed after I moved into my new home, it wasn't going to be a lot unless I decided to buy all new furniture, which I did not initially.
Because you don't need it, right? Not initially, like you said, whatever you had, unless it's totally broken down, that is something that you definitely can push until you're ready. So I love that's something that you decided to do with it. It makes it very realistic.
Yeah,
What about you?
Yeah, and I was just going to say one more thing, because one of the things that I thought about was the home would make me money, but I knew if I went in too much debt, it would be counterproductive.
Absolutely. And very quickly, right? Yep, for sure. What about you, Courteneè?
So first of all, I wanted to tell Senator Pat that I am from Killeen, Texas. So I want to let you know that's my hometown. So for me, I don't remember how much we saved up for our first home. But when I sold my first home and bought my second home, I saved about $5,000 before selling my home to cover any closing costs or anything like that. And then once we sold the home, I was able to take that money to invest in this new house that I'm in now.
Absolutely. And Caitlin, how about you, my dear? How much did you have saved up?
So my first home, of course, this was 2005. So, the equivalent of changing, I don't think I had any money saved, honestly. I just knew that my mortgage was like $500 less than what anybody would rent, was renting for. So that was in the market at the time where the seller was really paying everything. It was a great buyer's market. But I quickly turned around and I took that $500 I was saving and put that aside. So then 2.5 years later, when I moved, I had about $7,000 saved.
Smart. And how did that $7,000 help you at your next house?
So it was actually great. I specialize in VA loans. And so that's pretty much all I've ever done and everything I've ever used. And I don't know if people know this. So there's a thing called the VA funding fee, and it's a fee that rolls into your loan. And if you're disabled or have a Purple Heart, you're exempt. But if you're not, then you have this, it's a kind of an upfront mortgage insurance. And if you put 5% down payment, that fee gets discounted. So you don't have to. That's the best benefit about VA loans. You don't have to do a down payment. But my second home, I put 5% down so I could get the discounted fee. So it was just kind of saved me money in the long run.
That's so beautiful. And my friend Jess, how about you? How much did you have saved, to go into your first home?
I actually did not have any savings. I remember I had to borrow money from my older brother. But buying a home at that time, like Caitlin just said, it was cheaper than renting. And it was actually what gave us a step up and helped us with the VA zero down payment. Was very beneficial because we didn't have savings. My son had just broken his arm, so we had a lot of medical bills. We had just gotten out of the military and we were unprepared to be homeowners, but one of my friends encouraged me just to keep trying. And she told me, as long as you're going to be my friend, I will not let you rent. With being military, you're capable of getting this house. And she explained the VA loan and she explained the guaranteed. And like I said, we took a leap of faith, and it was the best thing we could have done for ourselves to set ourselves up for financial wellness.
So, what I'm hearing here is from zero all the way to, 7,000. So the main thing is it's not that much, right? You don't have to have a whole lot saved off to the side in order to be a homeowner where the VA is concerned. It's really more about, how do you have a great, competent loan officer? Who do you have on your team to help you? And really just getting the information to you is one of the biggest steps. So thank you all for sharing that. I'm really excited to hear that it is all over the board, but it is very, very compact into what it is that you need in order to really be a homeowner when we're talking about for veterans. So I appreciate you all. All right. My third question is, what are some costs that you wish you were aware of or that you wish you had more knowledge of prior to moving? And the good old Senator, how are you? I'll start with you again.
So I think the thing that I probably would have wanted to be a little bit more knowledge of is where I was buying a home. Colleen at the time was not as developed as it is now. And I bought in a pretty good area, but I probably could have bought in another area for about the same amount, maybe a little less square footage. But the equity would have increased a lot faster. So I wish I had known about that. And like I said, for me, it really was all about trying to find someone who could, who was reputable and could be my mortgage lender.
Got it. Got it. And so then when you did find that, what did you do? How did you know that you needed to move?
I got orders.
Okay.
I got orders. Yeah. So that was a clue. But the house would have appreciated more. I would have gotten equity quicker and would have probably given me a better nest egg, if you will.
Okay.
So that's the one thing that I wish I had known.
Got it. Got it. Okay. What about you, Caitlin?
The advice that I wish that somebody had given me, even on my third home, was to stop putting so much money into it once you buy it. And that's so hard because you're so excited to be a homeowner. You go a little bit on the Home Depot craze, right? Where you want to change all the outlet covers, and then you want a new faucet, and then you want to paint this wall. And you're so excited because you're not a renter anymore and you can do all of those things. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't even count how much money I spent on a house that it doesn't turn around. You don't make money off of that when you turn around and sell. So although you wanted those things, you're really, it's kind of a waste of money unless you're doing a true upgrade. So I wish that somebody had told me that, yes, paint a wall, yes, make it your own, but you don't need to go to Home Depot every Saturday and do something fun and upgrade. You don't need all those DIY projects and all of that because there isn't any positive outcome at the end. So that was my best advice.
Oh man, isn't that so true? Especially in like a buyer's market, mm-hmm. where you're really not seeing any of that. You're not getting any of that back. It's all gone. It looks great for the next person, yes, but you're so right at the end of the day. And it is important to go through and really assess what it is that you need and what is it that you'd love to have, and then start to really knock off what you need and the things that you'd love to have. Just kind of see how it goes. Don't be so fast to put those things in. So I appreciate that, Caitlin. What about you, Courteneè?
So what was it? Can you ask the question one more time? I'm sorry. The kids are back here making a bunch of noise.
It's all good. It's what are some costs you wish you were aware of or that you wish you had more knowledge of prior to moving?
So I would say the closing costs for one, and then the cost for upgrades. When we bought our first home, we had to put in, when you buy your upgrades, you have to put a percentage down out of your cash money. It doesn't go towards your loan. So we had to gather the money to get the upgrades that we wanted. But moving into my second home, luckily I was buying a home that was already in the process of being built. So that cost for the upgrades didn't count towards me, but I was able to pick my floors and my countertops, but everything else was already done. So I couldn't make those upgrades that I wanted to. But I got lucky, so I didn't have to pay any not closing costs, but any upgrade costs with that one.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. So you didn't have any upgrade costs. You just kind of got in. So that's a good, thing to know, is that kind of buy a house once all those have been selected. And then you may be on a better, better end of it. I don't know if Jessica's still on.
Yeah, she's on.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, there we go. Hi.
Hi. A cost. Let's see. One of the costs, I guess, just have money for the appraisal, for just incidentals. Yes, I know which one was probably my favorite. So the first one that they make you have is home warranty for the first year, but I didn't renew it. Well, living in Las Vegas, our AC units go out more often than usual. And I remember not renewing my home warranty. not thinking that I would need it. And my AC unit went out one year and I had to spend thousands versus hundreds. So now is one of my favorite advice to give to others just because I've lived it.
Oh my goodness, you're so right. And, and I think that that's what the senator is saying as well, is that, just having all this extra money is great. But then, unless they want to repaint, redo some things on it, it really, at the end of the day, it doesn't really probably make a whole lot of sense for you. So yeah, thank you for that, Jessica. So Senator Spearman, I have a question just for you now. And it's what some areas that are being worked on for veteran housing from either the state perspective, the city's perspective. What are some things that you can kind of share with us for veterans?
Well, I think there are a number of things that can probably happen as a result of passing the Build Back Better plan. Here in Nevada, I have worked with some veterans to, number one, try to make sure that we have housing options for veterans, especially women veterans. Most of the time when people say they're putting together some type of a veterans village or some place for veterans to go that are homeless, most of the time in their mind, they're thinking men, and most women will not go to live there. So I'm trying to look at ways that we might be able to put together either some temporary housing until women can get to a place where they can become homeowners, and also look at ways that we might be able to work with the banks. For some of them, the bad credit or the low credit scores, and I heard the young lady from HIP say, 640 score. Well, for some people, deployments have really trashed their credit rating. So we have to work with them to make sure that they get that credit rating up. And so using something that has been around since 1979, and that is the Community Reinvestment Act. It's known as CRA, where banks have an obligation to make sure they are working within the community where they're serving, and making sure that they're helping to lift up the community. Also know that we have we passed a bill last time. It's Senate Bill 188. And what it does, because we do have some people who are veterans and they've fallen on hard times. So what it does is, if you are in public housing, or if you're receiving any kind of public assistance, the Treasurer's Office will open for you, with you, a individual development account. And the individual development account means that you can put money aside in an escrow account, and it will not count against your benefits. And you identify whatever the goal is. And so you can save money towards a homeowner, towards purchasing a home. You can save money towards starting a new business. You can save money to pay off the debts that you have. The other piece of that, that bill also does the same thing for children in foster care.
Oh, that's great.
And I think that's important to know, because every person who had a parent who was in the military may not have that parent still living, and maybe the surviving parent was not able to properly care for them. So,
oh my goodness, that is so true, Senator Spearman, and I really, really love that. Where can veterans go and find out more information on that program now?
They can go to the Nevada State Treasurer's Office. State Treasurer Zach Conine is phenomenal. He and his deputy, Eric Jimenez, are putting it together, and they're basing it on some of the individual development accounts that they already have for people who are differently able. So we passed the law in the last session. They're still in the rulemaking process, but go to the Nevada State Treasurer's website, and you should be able to find it.
Okay, you heard that, Nevada State Treasurer's website. There's information there. Go and get that. That's some very impactful information to help people move forward in the process. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. So a quick question for you, Caitlin. So what are the requirements needed for home ownership using VA loans?
So as far as credit, so you can go anywhere from 580, depends on the lender. Every lender has their different minimums. So 580 is pretty much the lowest that is out there. However, 640 is your goal number. That's what you really want to get to, because anything under 640, you're going to pay for it in rate. So, go to a credit counselor. There's lots out there. There's lots of free services for veterans for credit counseling, and, get that credit score up to 620. So that's really or 640. Sorry. That's really the biggest recommendation, just so that you're not paying for it in your interest rate. The other thing is just, make sure that you have steady employment, steady income. The first time I bought a house, it's because I knew I had steady income. I knew I was going to live there for at least 3 years, and I knew that it was going to be cheaper than renting. So I think that just, making sure that you have a lot of stability with your income is, the biggest qualifier.
And so whenever you talk about, that income or things like that, how long does people need to be working, or, what type of income is typically acceptable?
All sorts of income. VA allows self-employed. I do know that one of the biggest, the VA loan program is very gray. They don't have, a lot of their rules are very up to the underwriter, up to the loan officer. So it's not as black and white as some of the other programs out there, which is nice for us because we can then make our own determination if they qualify. One of the things that they don't, black and white, is that you have to be in the same industry for 12 months. So, I'll call somebody will call me and, they've been on their job for 6 months and, I'll say, what did you do before then? I'm like, oh, something completely different. They're an accountant now and they were a mechanic last year. VA won't allow that. So you have to at least be in the same industry for 12 months. But if you're self-employed, if you have, 1099 income, anything like that, we're just going to go off of your last 2 years tax returns. So same as any other loan program, we look at your income, we look at your debts, and we just make sure that you have a little bit of stability.
I love it. Hi, Donna. How are you? Oh, poor Donna. She got on. I'm happy that you're able to join us. We're great. How are you?
Doing good.
Good. We still have a couple questions. I still have another one for you, Caitlin, okay? Donna is a Navy veteran and she is a veteran leader, someone who's, really in the veteran community here locally in Las Vegas. So very excited to have you on. Caitlin, one other question for you. So what is the likelihood of delinquent items on your credit report being overlooked when it comes to a VA loan?
Really, the only thing that VA is strict about is student loans, mainly because it's you're borrowing money from the government. So if you turn around and you want to buy more money, borrow more money from the government, which is VA, they're going to be very, very strict about that. So student loans, make that your priority. Keep them in a payment program. VA is really student loans are really good with veterans as far as letting you defer them or going on like income-based payments or anything like that. Just do not let those get delinquent because that is a VA killer. Other than that, they're really lenient. I always tell people if something pops up on your credit report that's something like, you switch cell phone carriers and they, there's a $100 bill that you missed because you were out of town, or you switched cable providers. I see Cox Communication on people's credit reports all the time, $50 because you didn't return your equipment, little stuff like that. If you can catch it in the first 3 months, absolutely, I encourage you to pay it off. If it goes back past 3 months, do not pay that off. All you're going to do is hurt your credit. The VA loan does not look at it. We don't care about collections as long as it's not a student loan. Mm-hmm. All we look at is that score. So if you have, a 640 recommended and above, and you don't have any student loan debt, you're going to be fine.
Oh, that's legit. And that's something to remember too. I know Senator Spearman had said it earlier, checking your free credit report. Right now, you can get it for free. On annualcreditreport.com. It's one that you would usually get every year. And something else that Senator Spearman had said also was, about HOA fees and remembering that as part of your monthly payment, that you do have your principal, but then you also have that part of the HOA fee that would be, necessary for you to pay if you're going to be moving into a development that has HOA fees. So just remember that piece of it.
Niecy, can I put in 2 cents real quick on that one?
Absolutely.
Make sure that whenever you're talking to your lender, when they're quoting payments to you, which is typically I quote people payments, not interest rates, right? Because that's that bottom line of what you're paying a month is the most important thing. So if they stay, somebody wants to stay below $1,500 a month, I'll tell them what purchase price is a good price to keep them under that part. But I always make sure I tell them this is the principal, the interest, homeowners insurance, property taxes, but it doesn't include HOA. So if you start looking at those communities that have that additional fee, you want to kind of add that in. So if I told you, $280, but now you're looking at a community with high HOAs, maybe you should drop it down to $260, just to, give yourself a little leeway so that you're not house poor later on.
Absolutely. That's a great point. Senator Spearman, did you want to talk about what you wrote in the chat?
Yes, I guess you're talking about is it student loans or the HOA fees?
Yeah, the veterans disability ratings.
Now, so there are some veterans who left active duty and they had chronic illnesses, ailments, or whatever, and that may have gotten worse. And so, and I can't remember the exact percentage, but if you have a certain percentage rating for your disability, your student loan can be reduced. And if it's at, I want to say 100%, but I'm not sure. But if it's at another certain percentage, then your student loan debt can be forgiven altogether. And that's important to know, because many times what happens to people once they leave the service, that whatever hurt you while you were in the service, a lot of times it just gets worse when you leave. I know right now, I tell everybody I have Army knees. I can't go up and down steps like I used to, because when I was commissioned into the Army, we did our PT in boots and and fatigues, and we did the 12-mile road marches, and it was just, so anyway. So that has gotten progressively worse since I retired. So make sure that you look into that, and you can probably talk to somebody in the VA, and they can help walk you through that. With respect to the HOAs, I would say this: make sure that you know everything that you need to know, and some, about what the HOA fees are and when they are due, and who you pay them to, because right now there are no laws in the country that protect veterans' homes if you fall delinquent on your HOA dues, and they can and will put a lien on your home, take your home, and sell it.
Absolutely.
Which
May
is
I add something?
I'm
sorry. May I add something to the student loan forgiveness?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, number one, yes, the student loan is forgiven by the educational organization that gave it to you. However, what they failed to tell me was, and this is after 2 years, that they forgive it, but they send the information to the IRS and it's considered income. So if you don't claim that, you get hit with something like $25,000 you owe the IRS. So that happened to me, and I talked to the IRS, and they said, "Oh, they forgive it, but we don't." But I never knew that I was supposed to report it, because they told me it was forgiven. Forget about it. Another thing on that is, I listened to someone else's advice, and I went to Ultimate Tax, and they charged me $4,000 only to tell me, "I'm sorry, we did the best we can. You still got to pay $25,000. However, if you get upset with yourself and call the IRS direct, they knocked mine down to only $4,000, and I made payments. And that's because if you talk directly to them and explain the situation, what happened, they will do the best they can to either knock it out completely or knock it down. So $4,000 from $25,000 was pretty darn good. I wish I could have saved the other $4,000.
I know,
but
right?
And other veterans told me the same thing that happened to them too. Is that
Can I add one more thing, because Donna's absolutely right. Here's what I would also suggest that people do: look for, there are attorneys who will take on your case, who will make sure that there is a clause in the forgiveness that says that it doesn't count as income. So make sure you look around, and sometimes the VA has information on attorneys that do that sort of thing. Sometimes VFW, but a number of organizations. But make sure, if you can find an attorney that will help you get that reduced or eliminated, they will also make sure that there is a clause saying that it is not income. Don't try to do it by yourself.
And if you go with find a veteran lawyer, they will a lot of times will do it pro bono, so you wouldn't have to pay them. Yeah, so look at that. Like the lawyers we have in Veterans Treatment Court, they do it for pro bono.
Okay. Well, that's so great to know. I got another question, Donna. I'm going to start with you then, since you're new to the scene. So, what are 2 items that you'd recommend someone? No, don't be. It's okay. We know you have things going on. Still appreciate you coming on. So, what are 2 items that you'd recommend someone do or stop doing to be truly ready for home ownership?
Oh, easy. And I speak mostly from my own experience. is number one, and this also goes back to many moons before most of you were born. I used to be in real estate myself, and then I was also loan business as well. And one thing I learned is save your realtor and the finance company a lot of energy and time and whatever by getting pre-qualified. Go into the bank, whatever, and find out, how much you qualify for, so you don't ask for something way over your budget. And the other thing I do, or I tell folks, is if you're planning on buying a house like soon, don't go out and make big purchases. Don't go out and buy a new car or buy a whole bunch of something that's going to hit your credit report kind of hard. So those are my two most important items.
Okay, I love it. I love it. What about you, Courteneè?
So I need to say something. When I was going through the process of buying my home, my car broke down on me. So I got really, really scared. I thought it was going to mess up my purchase of my home and everything, but I had no choice. I needed a car. I had to drive all the way 40 minutes to the base. So I went out and bought a car, and it did not mess anything up. What I did was I went ahead and took whatever money I could and just threw it on my car note as much as I could every month. And I was good to go. I was able to pay my car off. And by the time it was time for me to purchase my home, I was good.
Good. That's good. So that's one good thing, just keep paying it, really being important about what your debt looks like. What's something else you can give to someone, to do or not do when they're ready for a home?
Right. To do, save up as much money as you can, pay off any debt that you can, any debt that will affect your credit, try to pay it off, and stop spending as much money as, stop splurging on unnecessary things. Yeah. If you go to get your hair done, stop getting your hair done, do it, figure out what to do with yourself or something, whatever you can do on your own. Whatever you can do on your own, just stop splurging and spending on unnecessary things.
For real. That's so true too. Thank you. Our Courteneè, I know her too, y'all. It's a little bit different for me. Caitlin, what about you? What are a couple of things that, 2 items that you recommend someone do or do not do in order to be ready for home ownership?
You know what? And I'm going to actually steal Senator Spearman's comment that she just made about find your balcony people and run away from basement people. So I think the biggest thing is to look at your circle. Who are you spending time with? Because you start to become who your circle is, right? So you want to spend time with people who talk about, their goals, that are driven, that are talking about homeownership, that are talking about what are the next investments, how are we going to, how soon can we retire? Let's talk about passive income. If you look around and your circle of people that you're spending time with are generational renters and, spend every penny that comes in, and they don't talk about ever wanting to be a homeowner, you need to find a new circle. You need to be, inspired by the people around you. So I think that that's one of the biggest things. If you want to become that, surround yourself with people that are already there. I always say, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Find people who are smarter than you and spend as much time with them as possible.
Absolutely. Do you have another one?
I would just say save your money. Just pay attention. I always say, when your income comes in, pay your bills first, pay your future self second, and then you can, spend whatever you have left. But you should always be putting money into your future self. Like, what are you going to need in 10 years? Absolutely. So first your bills, then your savings, and then you can spend a little.
I love it. Thank you, Caitlin. Senator Spearman, what about you?
Well, I'm going to steal what Caitlin just said and say ditto. The other thing that I'd say about that is you want to make sure that you're hanging out with people who are going to be encouraging you and not telling you can't do it. Because a lot of times the people that you hang around with, if that is not their goal, they don't understand your goal, and they will try to limit you based upon their own aspirations. So, find some people that are going to be your cheerleaders. The other thing I would say is there is a statute in the U.S. Code for service members civil relief, and it is an act that if you are called to active duty, or if you're on active duty and you've already made some debts, then if the interest rate on something starts to go up, they cannot charge you more. That interest rate has to stay the same. You don't buy anything else, because anything new that you buy, they can add that additional interest. So you want to make sure that you're looking at the Service Members Civil Relief Act. I would say that right now, a lot of the potential homeowners are in a better place than I was, because you have these things like Zillow and Realtor.com and other places. I would say figure out where you want to live and go there and look at what those homes cost. Look at what the advertised price was, and then look at what the sale price is. When you're starting to look at a home, if a home has been on the market for 100 days, pretty soon that price will probably decrease, because the seller wants to get rid of it. So make sure that you're savvy, watch as many programs, read as many things as you can about home ownership, and make sure that you're going to get the very best deal that you can.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing and so true. Being able to watch and to really be, cognizant of all the things that's happening in the market, so that way you can be prepared and be okay asking questions. It's okay that you don't know the answer. Buying a home is a very daunting process. It's a lot of things that goes along with it, but the more you know, the better. And the, better informed loan officer, realtor that you have, it's all for your good. So definitely feel good about those people. So thank you for that, ladies. I have one more question, and I'm really sad, because then that means we're going to be done here soon. So my last,
I ask something to.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Senator Spearman. What she said, I want to piggyback on her. Two other things I do is I personally prefer to find a veteran realtor, because they're more in tune with who you are, what you're about, and they will serve you better. And I've had them all. So that's one thing. And the other thing that I do is if I see a house I really like and I want to live in that neighborhood, I actually go to the neighbors, both sides, across the street, and ask them, hi, my name is, and I'm thinking about buying this house. How do you feel about that? How's the neighborhood? And then if they seem very, welcoming, whatever, and I say, oh, this would be cool to live here, because you don't want to live in a place where your neighbors are mean to you and you just paid out a lot of money and you got to be stuck there. So you want to get friendly neighbors, or at least neighbors who act like they're welcoming you to the community, and then buy there.
That is so true.
I got gray hair because I did a lot of experience. A lot of relatives.
Yes, and make sure your realtor is a veteran. Hello, I'm a veteran, just in case anybody was looking.
Listen, I said that because there was a realtor here in Nevada that had on their card that they were a veteran. And I just wanted to test it out. And I said, so tell me a little bit about where were you ever stationed? Were you ever stationed in Fort Lee, Texas? Well, no, but I had a friend that was stationed in Fort Lee, Texas. I know right then you are not a veteran.
You are not
Bakers.
Yep. Make sure that they are really a veteran, because you got some scabs out here. So
scammers.
Man.
Yep. I do that too, Senator. I always ask, when did you serve? Where did you serve? And what was your MOS? Or I would say your rank if you're in the Navy or something like that. Because Navy is different. But everybody else has MOSs. If you don't know what MOS is, then you didn't serve. So.
Well, us Air Force folks have AFSCs, so but we understand what the MOS is.
Yeah.
And then you also have stripes from your elbow up to your shoulder. When I was a second lieutenant, I was walking around saluting petty officers, because I didn't know what the rank was.
I love it. So one more question for you, wonderful, wonderful veteran women. I love it. All right, so I'll start with you, Courteneè. In your opinion, and this is totally your opinion, what are the benefits of home ownership?
The biggest benefit is that it's yours, and you're not paying somebody else to live in their space. This is all mine. I can do with it whatever I please. If I want to change the paint, the walls, I don't have to ask anybody. I don't have to ask anybody permission for anything that I want to do inside my home. The money that I'm paying is going towards this home, which when I sell it, I get that money. It's not going towards anybody else. So it's just, it's all me. That's the biggest advantage of owning your own home to me.
Beautiful, honey. Thank you. What about you, Caitlin?
Yes.
Equity. That's it. It's all about the equity. Houses are appreciating. So every year they go up in value. So as you're paying the mortgage down, the value is going up. And I'm telling you, that's what's going to change the next generation. If you have kids, you want to leave them a house that's paid off in 20 years. And that way, they have that, they can sell it and put it down on a new home that's theirs. It's all about the equity. That's the biggest thing, is that, you, even if you're renting right now, you are paying a mortgage. It just isn't your own mortgage. Okay. So why not pay your own equity?
Yes.
Absolutely. So true, Caitlin. Thank you. Donna, what about you?
Absolutely. I can put a hole in the wall and don't have to worry about paying for it. If I want to put up pictures, I can just put up there, and if I make a mistake, oops, oh well, and fix it later. And like everyone else said, it's the equity, and it's mine.
Yeah.
I don't have to wait for the mortgage or the rent to go up because they want to make it go up. My mortgage is going to be the same or less as long as I keep it up and, watch the market.
Oh, I love it.
I love my house. I love my house.
I know, it's so beautiful. I love it too. I love it.
And I don't allow negativity in my house. I sage it. I pray on it. I do all the above. And so negative coming in, they going right back out.
See you later. Ain't got time for it here, right? I love it, Donna. All right, Senator Spearman, we are going to end with you. Go ahead and tell us, what is a benefit of owning a home? What's the benefit of home ownership?
I think one of the benefits is that this is one way, especially people in BIPOC communities and low wealth communities, can establish generational wealth. That is the way. That is the best way that we can leave something, not just the house just to our children, but it is what the house is worth. Another benefit, and I think homeowners saw this during the recent the pandemic, although we're not out of it, but in 2020, banks did a forbearance. So if you were a homeowner, they made sure that they put the payments on the back end of your loan, and you didn't have to go through all the craziness with someone who owned the house, a landlord or whatever, saying they didn't get the payment and they were already getting the payment and all that sort of thing. Also want to just say this to those who may be thinking about buying a home. And this goes to this fact. I rented one time, and I added up how much I had paid in rent. And I rented for so long that I had paid about $56,000 in rent. I went and looked at how much the owners paid for the property. Guess how much they paid for the property?
$30,000.
No, a little less than $100,000. I paid off their mortgage, and I'm like, this is crazy. This really is crazy. There's nothing crazier than walking into a room full of computers and say, turn the water hose on. Okay, this is crazy. So just make sure, look at how much you're paying, and just about anywhere you can go to the assessor's website or to the county treasurer's website, and you can find out how much was paid for something. And once you see that, and you see that all they're doing is just they're collecting your rent, and they're paying their mortgage with it, and they probably have a little bit more on the side. So,
oh my goodness, that is so true.
Absolutely.
That is so true. So true, right, Donna? Well,
absolutely.
I think for sure, and it's very, just indicative of why it's so important that you are taking the time to know what you're going into. Having a great team of people to help you through it all. Get those answers for you that you need. Like Caitlin said earlier, if you're the smartest one in the room, go to a new room. You need to be with people that are going to push you and show you how to do it correctly. And that's just what we're here. So we really appreciate all of you ladies from taking some time for just really educating our office and educating our staff, and not our staff, but our followers and people that are watching this, and what they need to do to be ready for home ownership, and that it isn't something that is, 10, 5, years away, that it is right here, right now, as soon as we want it. It does take some work, right? You got to step back a little bit. You have to really know what you're getting yourself into. You have to look at the money that you're spending and the money that you have going out, and really be honest about what you can afford, so that way you can be ready and for the next step. So yes, for sure. I am so thankful for all of you being on. It has been a great discussion. Is there anything anyone wants to add? Any goodbyes?
Well, I'm happy to have met all of you I have not already met. I appreciate you, and I thank you for inviting me to this panel. It was such a joy, and let's carry on. Let's get especially our young folks out there, and get them in home buying. Get our older veterans into home buying. Stop renting. Stop renting and own. It's not hard.
I'm sorry, Donna. I stepped on you. I'm sorry. So I just want to say this. For me, I'm done with thank you for your service. I'm done with that. My response is, if you are thankful for our service, then show me some tangible gratitude. And so as a veteran, this is something that you have earned, and make sure that you spend your money with people who are really thankful for your service. Anybody can give lip service. Anybody can give lip service, but I'm like, don't tell me anymore. Thank you for your service. I need to know, what are you doing that shows tangible gratification? So spend your money with people who will show you tangible gratification.
Absolutely. So true. Well, thank you, ladies.
I'm going to piggyback on that and take it with me. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate it too, ladies. Thank you so much for being here and just sharing, a little bit of your time to help other people to move forward in this process. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.